Hey climbers, it's Core here with Bark. We've gone over saddles, we've gone over helmets. So the next progression in this is we kind of need to figure out a climbing system. And that can be hitch cordage, it can be mechanical. We'll go through some of the options and some of the things that I've done in the past, kind of where I started, where I've progressed to, some of the things that I like. As far as a climbing rope, there's many different options out there for climbing ropes. My personal preference is to go to a 24 strand double braid rope. That's just what I like. They feel good, easy to tie knots in. They're not so stiff that you can't get a knot to hold. They don't stretch too much to where you have a bunch of slop in your system because your rope's stretching. But the first system, kind of the basic system that's been around forever, is foot locking. And that's just going up the rope with no mechanical ascenders, and you just basically climb up the rope. There's no other way to put it. You just heave up the rope. This keeps you from falling. Goes there as you hang on there, it's tight. With this system, you have to have some sort of a descender, because when your weight is loaded on this Prosek, it's going to be so heavy that you can't get it to function properly to go down the rope to descend. So that requires minimal hardware. You do have to have a descender to be able to properly come down the rope. The next thing that they kind of progress to is a taunt line or a Blake's hitch. This is a Blake's hitch. This is what I started on. You can use a Blake's hitch on a doubled rope where you got the rope back to yourself, but that's not really how I used it. I did use it that way some, but because I had this split tail system, I could climb on a single rope, which is now called the stationary system, because this leg of rope is not moving when you're on it. This is also a stationary system, even though it's a doubled rope. The moving rope systems we'll get into here in a bit, but those, as you climb, the rope actually moves. This one has just a little pulley on there, so as you're attached here, you pull up on this and you can get this to go up the line. And same thing as this one. With this system, you load this up too much and you have to put in a figure 8 below it to be able to descend. That knot will just get too tight, you can't come down on it. So this is how I started out. This was clear back in 2007. Stationary rope system really wasn't being used that much. Everybody was using moving rope systems. This is where I progressed from here. I went to this type of a system. Hitch climber pulley, and what that does is, this is what I'm talking about where I say the rope comes back to you, and you're basically just closing this loop. So as you have rope out here, you've got a large loop, and then as you're climbing on this side's going up and this loop's getting smaller and smaller. With this kind of a system, only about 50% of your weight is on this cord, so it makes it much easier to just go that way, and you can climb very easily. For someone just getting into it, getting started, this is the kind of setup that I would suggest. It's super simple, it's efficient, it's a nice system to climb on. Same system as this, but with a mechanical instead of hitch cordage, is the Petzl zigzag. And it's just got a series of linkages here that put bends in the rope that stop the rope. So you push down on the top of it just like you would on the top of your Prosek. It opens up, You go through, it tends, it catches. What it does is it stretches out to catch, and then when it's collapsed, it'll let that rope go through there. So when it's collapsed, it goes through there. As soon as you put weight on it and load it, it stretches out, that stops it. Those are nice. They're smooth. A bit expensive if you're just getting started out. I mean, the mechanicals, they're going to run you at least $250. Some of them up to about $350. So that's probably not a piece of gear you're going to get right off the bat, unless, I mean, you're really gung-ho and you really want to dive into it all the way and go with something nice. You can. The thing I don't like about this is it's not midline attachable, meaning you have to run the rope up through here, then you have to tie your knot on here, and then attach back to yourself. On this system, I can actually take it on and off of the rope without having to be at a certain point in the rope. I don't have to run the end of the rope down back through to get it off of there. I can just take this carabiner out, undo my knot, and it comes off. The progression from here, this is the same setup, but like I was talking about with the other two systems where they load up too hard and you just can't come down on them without putting in a figure 8 below them. This takes care of that problem. It's called a rope wrench, and it can be added to this system. See, we've got the same system here, but instead of this coming back down here to yourself, it can just be stationary up here by itself, and that allows you to use one leg of the rope. So the thing about this is when you're ascending, it's much more efficient. You have to move twice as much rope on a system like this to go the same distance as what you would on this one. And just like this is the mechanical version of this, this is the mechanical version of this. Rope comes up through here, puts bends in the rope, you're on here, you push down on the top of it to collapse it down, and it'll go. As soon as it stretches out, it holds. You can tend it like this. Super simple, easy to use. Now this system, unlike this system, is midline attachable. It's got a series of pins here, here, and the carabiner here that allow this to come off. So if you need to move this around to a different rope, or you're doing a little bit something different with your climbing system, this one is nice because you can take it off, you can do whatever you need to do with it. If you want to switch the ends of the rope you're working, any of that, super easy with that. The systems that I generally climb on are this system, or this system. I rarely climb on this one. This one is smooth, it works fine. I just have a problem with it not being midline attachable. For me, that's a major downside. It's just a little bit more difficult to use when you're having to, manipulate the rope all the way through the device. If you have a spliced eye like this, which I like because it really makes your system clean, you don't have a knot up here interfering with your knot or anything else. With a spliced eye like this, it will not go through those linkages. So if you have a spliced eye, you've got to start all the way from the far end of the rope, which you may have a rope that's 150, 120 feet. It just depends on how high you're going to climb and what you're doing. But if you've got to run that much rope through it every time you want to get back over here to your eye, that's really inconvenient. So that's why these three systems right here are my go-to systems. If you guys got any questions, just drop them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Keep climbing.